Let's move on. That was the
Very
fun,
long Jacob
very
and me
long
segment.
Jacob and me segment. Let's get into something drafted, all right?
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's undraft our opinions right now. We have the NCAA basketball specifically has completely gotten rid of one and done, right?
It is not yet.
Okay.
Everything on the NCAA's end is ready for one and done to be gone.
Okay. So
I have the rules written down so I can explain it.
Okay, read the rules and then we'll go.
Okay, so I have 4 big things kind of that they're written down. NCAA announced new rule changes for their basketball programs, like system wide. Their goal here was, according to the NCAA, to quote minimize the leverage of harmful outside influences. So basically, what they're doing is making a bunch of things that used to be illegal and not allowed by the rules, but still happening. All those things are allowed now. So the first thing is that high school seniors will be able to retain an agent if NBA. So this was the if, why the one and done is not gone yet. If NBA changes rules saying they don't have to sit 1 year minimum. So what's happened is that the NCAA is ready for one and done to be gone, but there's also rules on the NBA side that cannot be changed until this current collective bargaining agreement expires. And that collective bargaining agreement with the I almost said NFL, with the NBA Players Association does not expire until 2022. So one and done will still be a thing until 2022, because then the NBA, assuming that at that point the NBA changes the rules on their end, changing the eligibility age minimum, then one and done will be gone and people can jump straight from high school to the NBA.
Okay.
Current college underclassmen will be allowed to have the services of an agent starting with the 2019 draft after the season is over and after they have filed a request with the NCAA. Pretty straightforward, I assume. If the student chooses to come back to school, they have to cut all of the communication and relationship with that agent. And so that's like the next big thing, is that players have the option to come back to school. So college basketball players who request an evaluation, participate in the NBA Combine, and aren't drafted can return to school as long as they notify their athletics director of their intent to return the Monday after the draft. So there's been a little bit of criticism that I've heard about this, is there's such a short period of time, because like the draft happens on like a Friday or Saturday, and like so they only really have a couple days to decide whether or not they're going to return to school. So yeah, but
maybe they'll compromise would be to extend that period. But like, I hate the idea like, oh, there's these young kids that are making decisions for like the rest of their life. I'm like, I think they should have already a discussion with like their coach, the whatever school they've gone to, about like what's going to go on and whatnot, to where they already make the decision and whatnot if they don't get drafted. You know what I mean? Just that should be like, there's enough prevention and enough like hand holding to where they can make that decision on their own and not have to be that complaint or that little like thing where like, oh, he's just a kid, it's a big, like, no, dude, like either you're gonna make money or you're going back to school. Come on.
Yeah,
I think you could figure that
out. So overall, I guess I'm okay with all of these changes. I think that if you're in high school and you're good enough, or at least you think you're good enough to go straight to the NBA, you should have that option if you want it. And then the whole thing with like the agents and all that, this was something that's been happening under the table for years, and everyone knew that it's been happening under the table for years.
It's not just basketball and baseball.
Yeah, it's all.
I mean, I think even for baseball,
it's
that's
probably all sports.
Yeah, so it doesn't. Yeah, I don't have a. The only thing is like, is this going to be implemented into football eventually? Which is already happening, obviously, but like I meant like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be up front more or more up front? We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, so they're basically just decriminalizing a lot of things that have already been happening for a really long period of time.
And like a lot of, what's it called? A lot of programs get punished for some stupid stuff like this all the time.
Right.
Now you can't really do that, or you can't really do that anymore. Especially with like the big, what's it called? The Big Five? What do they call them?
Like the 5 conferences? Or
no, the Fat Five, like that stuff that went between all those guys and what they had going on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's about it. It's just we'll have to wait and see what the NBA is going to choose to do. nothing will happen, I guess, unless both the NBA and the Players Association agree to like an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement, which I'm not even sure if they can do or not. Then it won't be until 2022. But yeah, otherwise I think these are steps in the right direction. It's kind of like a half step in the direction of the MLB draft. The MLB draft, you can be drafted and go back to school. But obviously the league, like the MLB, have contingencies in place to compensate teams if, like, you know, if you have a top 3
pick,
and they decide to go back to school or whatever, then
you
get a compensation pick. So
well, they have the lottery and everything for the NBA, but that was because teams were losing on purpose and whatnot.
yeah, and what did that do? Teams are still losing on purpose.
Yeah, increase some chances.
Anyway,
NBA. I mean, we were even going to the discussion like not to say real quick, but we were talking about the paying athletes and stuff discussion. I'm like, I feel. For me, if looking outside from what basketball, what a one and done player gets, he doesn't really get much of a education on the sport as much as a guy that goes into like a football program. Like if he's like the top program in basketball, I mean, there's a lot of them, but like say a top program versus like when you go to like Alabama, I think you're getting more of an education in football than you are going to like one of those top schools in basketball. For me, that's what it looks like.
So you're saying, like, depending on the sport, whether or not they should be paid?
No. I'm saying depending on, like, I'm saying the incentives of going to, like, those big programs aren't just to, you know, get drafted as soon as possible or get, like, the limelight and being able to play. Because a lot of people are saying, like, oh, high school athletes should be able to go straight from high school to NFL.
Yeah.
Which is, like, I would be terrified if that was a thing. There's a lot of going to be, you might have,
somebody's
like,
going to die.
Yeah, there's going to be fatalities. But regardless, I think you get more of an education in football, in the football programs, than you do in the basketball programs leading up to your pro career.
So you're talking about like education for the sport.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about like a quarterback learning to read a defense and like learning
at a higher level, and
that's what you're talking about. Like I guess the whole thing with paying players for me is like, so what you hear a lot of the time is that these what's the word that I'm looking for? Not teams, schools, organizations are program. That was the word I was looking for. These programs are making so much money that like some of this money, they're basically making free money off the backs of the athletes or whatever is what a lot of people say. And that's
we gotta get to the point though. Come on. We gotta move on.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's what a lot of people say about like why people should be paid. But in my mind, the payment is the free education.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. People
value
every education, but when you do it with a sport, then they're like, oh no.
Every single athlete at a major university is being paid $200,000 over their $200,000 or more over their 4 years in unpaid tuition and housing and food.
Most a lot of the NFL players,
sure, whatever it is, a potential of 4 years.
Yeah,
they're making $50,000 to $70,000 a year in free stuff.
But it's not good enough though. But that's what it is.